Describe this place to us.
It's on the river road.
In what parish?
And what did you see at the end of that? 11?
When I was young, a young teenager, I was raised on the east side of Houma, which really was a wide open territory. The oil field was starting to boom. Houma started growing.
Okay, you take
all you do is keep going
straight down.
And you'll hit Berg.
That's where we was born and raised at. That's where Nicholas was born and raised at until we moved to Montague. Keep on going further down. Yeah, it's about 8 miles down.
I was born in Lafayette. I was raised in New Iberia. And as we got older, you know, we moved to Houma.
Terrebonne Parish is a pretty large parish. We have about 120,000 residents. The parish seat is Houma, and then we're pretty much surrounded by several different bayou communities. We have 5 separate bayous, which basically people have formed communities along bayous, a waterway and there's roads on either side, and people make their living and live alongside those bayous.
Bayou Blue is really quiet. It's a rural area, it's quiet.
It's almost like a ditch. It's not big. Bayou Blue is closed in so much. It's small. It's a great community. A lot of good people out there. I don't know if you know that or not, but that's the vision between Lafourche Parish and Terrebonne Parish is Bayou Blue.
Because we are on the Gulf Coast and because we have had so much trauma, you know, with hurricanes and the oil spill, there is this sense of we're in this together between us. And there is also a sense of it's us against the world. When I was a young man, we would fish and we would crab there, and there was plenty of land. If you drive down there now, that wouldn't even be remotely possible. It's just gone. With it is going a way of life.
A lot changed. You got more drugs on the streets, more everything. Like, everything's changed because of the law. Okay, like the police department, you know, you hear all what they doing and stuff like that, and all these people going around like shooting people, killing people,
breaking
all
into their houses,
breaking, yeah. And then, so I'm saying, just not really, you can't say you're safe anywhere, but you're not really safe nowhere.
I don't know, because nobody never did me nothing, but then I found about it, and I'm not afraid to stay in me. Because I was born and raised down here. I couldn't say it, but they had some strange stuff going on.
Does this area look familiar?
Yeah. Leave the Shell station. You go down the road, on the track.
Trees and some grass. Where did you go?
You know, I went to the church.
What church?
I went to the church.
Describe what's by the church.
I like church.
Okay, is there anything else by the church?
A pizza place.
And what else?
And many stores.
And where is this area at?
I think it was by the stairway.
As you can see, this area is out in the middle of nowhere. The only traffic they have here is people that live in the local area of Kramer and Chackbay. And there's no businesses. There's a lot of honey back here and a lot of sugarcane. Right here down this road here was one, and the other was right here. So as you can see, it's pretty much right across the street. This one was 2002. This is the convenience store I was talking about up here to the left. And the Queen Bee Bar Lounge off of Highway 90. Little gravel road. April of 2005. August Watkins. It was dumped in this location. Right here next to this yellow pole right here. I remember it like it was yesterday.
At the time, all I remember that my little brother come up missing. We haven't seen him, this and that, and last time I talked to him, I stopped. He was cutting some hedges on the tree for someone, you know. And I stopped and I asked him, I said, you all right? You need anything? You need any money, anything? He told me no. He said, man, I'm all right. I said, well, if you need anything, maybe you just come by my house, man. And that was the last time I talked to my little brother, when I told him that, you know.
This is where August Watkins was found, April of 2005. I happened to be the on-call detective at the time. Called me and said they had a black male that was located off of Highway 90. Well, I'm thinking it's off of Highway 90, not down this little side road right here. When I get here, August Watkins laying face down right here on the ground. He was located by some people. I don't recall their names right now, but they were looking for a loved one who was missing. And they were checking all the side roads, and they stumbled across August Watkins, who was dumped right here.
And when we talked to the detective, we went there, looked at the picture, and it was him. He was face down in the ditch on one of the pictures, swole up because the way they had him lean, he was leaned head down in the ditch where all the blood probably rushed to his head, to the, you know, and swole him all up. And I was like, man, I can't really look at that at the time.
Through the investigation, made contact with family members, found out where he hung out, which he was from Houma as well. And that's when it all began, really after this one.
I remember it was hot, this scene. It was right before Katrina.
Yeah, it was in August, wasn't it?
It was August of 2005, probably, I don't know, 10 days? I don't know, what day was it, 10 days before Katrina?
It wasn't long.
It was within 2 weeks, I believe, before Katrina. Very, very hot where we're going.
We responded when we got the call. we knew we had a missing person, and it appeared to be Wayne Smith before we pulled him out of the water, so we activated the task force. We were out here for about 5 hours processing the crime scene before we got a positive identification that it was Wayne Smith. I mean, right now, it's pretty full with lilies and overgrown grass, but if you see the area behind it where you can actually see some of the murky water and just the algae on top, that's pretty much what it looked like then on that day. And his body was about 5 feet from the bank in the middle of the bayou area, and he was face down, and you could see his arms, you could see the back of his head, you could see his back and part of his buttocks, and you couldn't see his legs or his feet. So you could definitely tell that it was a human being. At that point, you couldn't tell if he was black or white. We pretty much assumed it was a male, but obviously until we pulled him out, we couldn't, we didn't confirm that until then.
I know something was wrong. He usually called every night. Grandma? I said, what you want, Wayne? Had to do it for me, on my way. But he never came. And that day, we asked his mama called me and said, Ma, Wayne ain't at your house? I said, no. She said, it's getting late. Wayne ain't showed up yet.
He always been the type to be at home. He gonna always be at home, and he never misses school.
And so, he called back. She called back. She said, Ma. I said, what you want? It's going on 12 o'clock.
And my baby
Wayne ain't here yet. I said, well, he gonna show up. So, 2 o'clock came. Wayne ain't showed up. So we went to bed. 8 o'clock came. We all got in the front yard, calling each other. Wayne ain't showed up yet. We went looking in Kramer, whatever you call it. Went out there where they threw the bodies out there in the cane field. We went looking out there, looking for a body. Because he never showed up. That's a question we all still wonder, where was he? But they found his body in the ditch, in the little bayou.
It was a bayou case. It was some killings that were like centered around Houma, and I had stumbled across just an internet comment somewhere talking about a string of possible serial killings in the New Orleans and Jefferson Parish area in years prior. And so we just started saying, well, what if there is a connection here?
On October 5th, 1998, we were called to this location in reference to a found body. At the time, there was a body, which is later identified as the body of Mr. Oliver LeBanks, protruding from out of this vegetation from his upper torso and head onto this gravel road here. He had no shirt on, and he was one of the initial ones with no shoes.
We backtracked LeBanks through his brother into the French Quarter in the city of New Orleans, in a corridor area, I believe at the intersection of St. Anne and Burgundy Streets, near a gay bar. And that seemed to be a common thing for at least 2, and if not 3 of our bodies, going back into New Orleans and or the French Quarter. The thing that stands out the most is that in the beginning we talked about his victims being gay or being bi or whatever. What we really had to wrap our heads around was the fact that we knew that the majority or a great portion of the victims were not gay. And he is, and he's a rapist. And how does he get them to comply and do what he does to get them to end up where we find them at, dead in a secluded area?
Even though we're an hour away from each other, we don't generally work cases together. So on any given day, he doesn't know that we're working a murder. We don't know what murders they're working. So you don't so much share information. But we had heard pretty much through news media and through the grapevine that they were possibly dealing with an active serial killer from Jefferson, Kenner area, St. Charles, and Lafourche, which is the parish closest to us. When they had a couple of bodies popping up, we knew that it was probably just a matter of time before it started happening in Terrebonne Parish. And sure enough, you know, it did.
Assumption Parish, okay. And you had a polling bill, right? Outside of a polling bill? Yes. So, so exactly the polling bill, it's Assumption Parish. Has what to do with? Well, just before or after the storms.
You don't usually...
Yeah, he's not a person. He don't like taking pictures.
No.
He don't like doing nothing like that. Or no, if you lucky, you get your picture from him. That's why I say the pictures that I got, I treasure them because you ain't got that many.
This one, that one, that one, that one, that one. No. That one, I got that one in my room. September 8, 1996.
Yeah. And we would smash the cake in each other's face.
And he was playing the guitar, look like.
And he was sitting, just standing there. Well, this is another one back on his bicycle. This is the one from the wedding. This is the one that's my treasure picture. That's the only good picture. He got a smile. And look, he's
I got a phone call for Hurricane Katrina and Rita from my brother Dominique, and he asked me how I was doing, and he asked how my mama was, and to see how everything went. And ever since that was the last phone call I got from him, till the day that my brother called me and told me that he was missing.
In 2005, that's when Hurricane Katrina hit here, and it kind of pushed us back a good 6 months on working the case. And you just didn't know when the next body was going to pop up somewhere. Michael Vincent was the first one. Then we had Kenneth Randolph in 2002. August Watkins, he was found in April of 2005. Right after August Watkins, and Nick Pellegrin, and Kurt Cunningham as well. And I want to say our last one was Sutterfield in 2006.
It seemed like, 23 kids, come on now. You tell me you couldn't catch this man way before that? It took that many people? Come on. I don't understand that.
A murder is bad enough. You have a murder in a neighborhood and they talk about it for the next 10 years. So what happens when you have 20 of those? Or I guess at the time we were thinking it was more like 10, but even so, there was no doubt that if it was true that there was a serial killer, that it was huge. At the same time, if it's somewhat speculative to begin with, and we're in the first year after this disaster hit the Gulf Coast, Katrina and Rita down there, it wasn't our top priority, so and it was complicated. I mean, it was certainly complicated by the fact that it wasn't an easy story to report.
No. It don't, no. My kid, okay, yeah, he might have did a little drugs or whatever. Who didn't when they was at that age? Okay? That's another thing they trashed my kid down with. You know, they put it in the newspaper. All the time talking about his, you know, his back history. Okay, how you like that if everybody go put back their back history and splatter after you just got killed by a serial killer? Come on now.
He's not here to defend himself.
Yeah.
Either. Saying that he was on drugs. All he did was in and out of jail for drugs, fighting, and always on the streets and stuff at the curfew and stuff. Saying that he was no good, and he was homosexual when he's not, when he had girlfriends all at the time.
And told her he got a kid. So, you know, I know one thing, that's one thing. My kid is not bisexual.
No.
That's one question you better get out there. That dude had to rape my kid to do it. That's the only way I could see it.
We had two main areas where he picked up most of the victims, and one of them was pretty much the main drag that leads you into Houma, which is Highway 182. It's also known as New Orleans Boulevard, and it's lined at the end of the street with several motels, low-budget motels that are known for drug activity, prostitution, transients coming in and out looking for work. So he would pick them up there, and we also had a second, what we called a target area, that was in a neighborhood called Mechanicville, which is primarily populated by black residents. He did prefer the black male, the short, stocky, thin, young black male was his preference. But if there was nothing available, like he said, availability, he would look for something similar, and if they happen to be white, then they happen to be white.
Chris, I don't think Chris would have let him got the ups on him. If he had to do Chris either drugging or some kind of way Chris went to sleep and put his trust in him, and some kind of way he slipped the handcuffs on him, you know. And I don't like to talk about it the way they found him. You know, we had to close the casket when we buried him. You know, he liked the street. Chris liked it to go. Chris liked it to be out in the streets at a certain time. Chris liked it to go home when he gets ready. You know, his old lady didn't tell him that he didn't keep a job, and so he went out in the street and figured he could get it out in the streets, you know.
Countless times when we were investigating this for several years, we'd have the victims' faces and their biographical information and bills up on the wall, and we were trying to determine if this is the work of one man, how could this man overtake all these men?
We would meet at the Lafourche Parish Detective Bureau, handle different leads, discuss different things that we were doing. And we were just doing that for months and months and months. And the break came when one of the people on our task force, Bill Null, who was a probation and parole officer, he was basically in charge of gathering information on known sex offenders and things like that. And he came to us with some information from one of his parolees.
Ricky was under my supervision back then for a drug problem. I believe it was, I'm not sure. But anyway, he was on parole at the time. His mom called me and told me that Ricky was having nightmares about being tied up, and she thought he was involved with the serial killer.
Yeah, I knew Chris Neville. That's a big dude, man. That's a big old dude. I don't know how he killed him. Yeah. I was walking down the street, man. Over there with dog pound over there, just walking. I seen a vehicle pass me about 2 or 3 times, maybe. Maybe the 3rd or 4th time it stopped. Showed me a picture of a woman. Told me I can make some money, you know, doing this, doing that. Fell for that, got in the truck, started going to Bayou Blue. Shit. After we get there, he told me some kind of stuff that I had to get undressed, get tied up, and get wrapped in a towel and laying on my stomach. Oh, no, son. Oh, no. None of that. So he tried to talk me into it. I told him, you can talk a hole in your head. I ain't getting tied up. I think that's what it did. Anyway, we got into an argument while we was in the trailer, and he really didn't want to take me back. He really wanted me to get tied up. I don't know, it ain't gonna happen. So I had to use force a little bit to get him to bring me back, open the door and bring me back. And after that, he bring me back. But yet, he kept on running his hand down the side of the door panel as if there was something down there, you know. I told him if he do that again, I'm gonna hit him with this bottle and smash the accelerator. So he stopped doing it. By the time he got me back where I was, I just got out of the truck and left. I never said nothing else about it.
So Ricky told me that it was a standoff for maybe 25, 30, 40 minutes. But after a good time in that trailer, the guy finally agreed to bring Ricky back, and he dropped him off near the point of where he had picked him up.
To this person who's a street person who needs a ride, needs my help anyway, how would you like to have sex with a woman? You being heterosexual. And of course, if you look at the Ricky Wiles story, that's what happens. He picks up Ricky. He leads Ricky into believing that he's going to have sex with a white female. He even has a picture to show. This woman has a story to go behind it. The woman has been abused before, but really wants to have sex with a guy like you, Ricky. Let me take you to her. Let's meet her. Progressively, let me buy you a beer. You know, and Dawn and I started going back and forth. Would everybody believe this? Would a guy on the street believe this story? I mean, that's the remarkable part of the story. Is this the same MO that he's doing, or something, or a variation of, to allow him to achieve all this? And obviously, there's a lot of truth to that. Because Ricky, you know, and this was getting him to admit that, you know, that he almost bought it.
Yeah. I knew the guy that killing people, but it didn't dawn on me then. Because I wasn't thinking that clearly. I don't know it come. And then when I thought about it, it was too late. When I heard this guy got killed, who I had known a long time, that's when I decided. That's when I decided I would come forward and let somebody know what happened to me. Because I already knew that it was him who picked me up. How I know that? That feeling, that eerie feeling, just some things you just don't pass by. You can feel it inside out, no matter what it is. And that's what it was for me. I just knew it. I just knew it. That was so true. Well, other than that.
So I had gone by, picked Ricky up, and listened to his story. And I told him I wanted a statement, which he agreed to. But on the way to the police department to take his statement, I asked him if he could show me where this guy lived, and he told me yes. So we had driven by Ronald Dominique's home.
He's on top of you, and he
We had picked Ronald up together, brought him into this room. We still did not have a handle on how Ronald was acquiring his victims. There was all types of theories that we were trying to examine to see how was the abduction and the pickup accomplished. And then, of course, when we saw Ronald, Dawn can maybe speak to it, I think our doubts were, okay, this is just another person we have to go through and so forth. And then as time went on, and of course we got the DNA hit, well, then that changed everything.
And at 12:05 this morning, December 2nd, after nearly 8 hours of interrogation, Terrebonne Parish detectives and Jefferson Parish detectives escorted Ronald Dominique from the inner interrogation room of the sheriff's office into the corridor of the courthouse. A visibly shaken Dominique, with a cane, struggled to make the 100-foot trip.
I got it. I got you.
Sources close to HTV say that only days ago, Dominique suffered a heart attack, which is why he is currently in this condition. But say don't be fooled by the posture, for only days before, his condition was fitting for that of a serial killer.
Watch your step. Watch your step. I got you.
A press conference is scheduled for Monday, and HTV will be there with all the details. Once again, suspected serial killer is arrested in Terrebonne Parish. How many victims have died at the hands of Ronald Dominique? Only time will tell. One fact, however, is that several agencies worked hand in hand to catch a killer. I'm Martin False, and we'll be back with Congressman Bobby Jindal right after a short break.
Initially, he started off, Dennis started off with the killings in the New Orleans area in Jefferson Parish, and Dominique's initial response was he killed to protect himself, that he felt during these sexual encounters with these men that they were going to rape him and going to harm him, so he jumped the gun and basically accidentally overpowered them and killed them.
He and asked you if you wanted to fool around to have sex. Yes. Right. It goes on and on. Right. Okay. Now he starts talking first. And he starts talking about having a good time. Is that correct? Yes. Right. What happens next? We went to my vehicle. The guy really not much money. And your vehicle is parked where? Well, I go to do shopping, take my Jack's Brewery, do a parking thing. So you know why it's searched by Jack's Brewery, it's a parking lot, right? Is that what it is? Okay. Yes, for $20. Right. And we went, my car was parked, and we got back to seat, and we pulled out clothes, dogs on the east, and we started fooling around, and becomes threat.
When we talked to Dominique, I mean, one of our biggest questions was, how did you lure them? And that was one of the ruses that he used, was the picture of the female and talking about having heterosexual sex with her. But he also commented that when he approached a potential victim and he would have, 5-minute conversation with them, and in that time he would determine if he thought they were homosexual or heterosexual, and then he would throw out his ruse. And he said if he thought they were homosexual, he would ask them if they wanted to have homosexual sex. And if he thought that they were heterosexual, then he would use the ruse of the female having sex with him, or even, hey, would you like to go smoke some weed together? He in his own words, he would kind of size them up before approaching them about leaving with him. So it wasn't just a matter of, hey, hop in the car. He would kind of size them up and determine which ruse he was going to use before they ended up getting in the car with him.
They found him on the night. He died that Saturday, the night that he left. That was the night he really got killed. That was for the 6th. Okay? And then for the 19th, that's when Detective Dawn and the one from Lafourche Parish, that other detective, I can't remember his name, but I liked that him. I could tell you what, I did like that cop. But anyhow, he's the one that came. We met at my son's house, and they the one that came out and told us, yeah, they found the body, and it was my son.
Nick's case was a little different than the other bodies as far as the contact. He had prior contact with Dominique, and he was the only victim that we know of that occurred. Nick actually lived in this neighborhood right here on your right. A few days before Nick went missing, he was doing some construction work on a friend's house in one of our Bayou areas, and he came across Dominique. Dominique was actually reading meters at one of the houses where Nick was doing work at, and according to Dominique, they struck up a conversation. Dominique got Nick's number during their meeting, and on the night that he went to pick him up, he stopped at a payphone, called Nick's phone, and let him know he was on his way to pick him up. That's the only case that we know of where Dominique had prior contact with one of his victims. And that happened to be Nick Pellegrin, and it was definitely a special circumstances.
I knew Nicky Pellegrin. I supervised Nicky. I believe he was on for a minor drug problem, but he was not a bad kid. I never had a problem with Nicky. In fact, I was surprised that he was a victim because I didn't know that Nicky hung out in Houma. Nicky had always been around Montague when I knew him.
Nicholas Pellegrin, yeah, that was my cousin. They found his body over there in Thibodeau over there. Yeah. I was staying in Montague at the time. It's a little town a little further down here, about maybe 35 minutes, 40 minutes. A little further. You blink your eyes, you miss it. Yeah. You can tell I'm a Cajun. This is a homeless shelter for people that ain't got outside to eat, that ain't got no food to eat, they ain't got no home. And
what's it like?
It depends what you make out of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can make bad and you can make good out of it. I just been chilling out, trying to stay out of trouble. Go and help my friend work on his van.
Enjoy life and enjoy spending time with just good people, you know what I'm saying? Because trouble is real easy to get into and hard to get out of. Definitely hard to get out of.
And he was helping his daddy tear down the trail or something. That's supposedly how my son ran into him. They exchanged each other, got each other's cell, and crap like that. And then one night, supposedly, he happened to call him.
It was on a Saturday.
Yeah, it was on a Saturday. He called her. And then that
From
night...
the mall, because he was at the mall and he called him.
And then after that, that's when he was missing, ever since that. And that was the last time.
And they walked the levees looking for him because they said he was probably out there. And they searched and searched and searched.
The way they found him.
That we
the way when I saw that
the body of him.
The body didn't even look like him. My son had to go, said that it was him. Me
either.
I don't know. It's like, a mother always supposed to know, like have a feeling that just, I don't know how they say that, but I don't know. I just think you got him somewhere. Sometimes I think like that you got him out there and they holding him, And maybe one day I might see him. But I know it ain't happening. I might just go a little crazy sometimes, but it's not that. It's just, I guess I'm wishing like it.
We're going back in. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it went around all the way? Yeah. It looks different, though.
It is. These were not here.
No.
These porticos were not here. This trailer park was here. Dominique lived in Bayou Blue, which is one of the Bayou communities in Terrebonne Parish. He had a camper set up there behind his sister's property, and that's where he lived. But he also had a separate camper that not many people knew about. And it's not here anymore, obviously, but this is the area where Dominique's camper was. This was primarily the kill site for most of the later victims. It doesn't look like we are, but actually, like I said, 2 miles that way, we're in the center of Houma. The courthouse square is a mile up the road. We are actually in the city, one of the most heavily populated areas in the parish. So at night, to Ronald and to the victims he was bringing back here, this was completely secluded. Anybody could scream at the top of their lungs and not a soul would hear them. You go 2 miles up the road and half the town would hear you. This is where he would actually have the sexual encounter and eventually kill them, and then he would load them back in his vehicle, drive back out to the street, and then dump them in one of the places that he dumped them.
Anybody back or anything else? Okay, let's see what the shooting code did at the house is in. The shooter came the blue alert. Down the road at the highway. I just went straight to the middle of it. You went straight to the middle of it, okay. How far did you go before you stopped?
First, they found some shoes. I don't know if that was his. Because they said one of his shoes was on and one was off. I don't know. Saw some shoes in the bayou. Then, they said a working man found his body. So I don't know what went on. I don't know what it was.
Primarily, one of the victims, which is Wayne Smith, was picked up at a convenience store at the corner of Payne and East Street. And Dominique actually followed him home 2 streets over where he could put up his bicycle, and then he hopped into the car with Dominique.
He came into his mama. She was living on Rose Lawn. He came there. He had a bicycle, and somebody had to be waiting on him because he got out the way too quick. When they went up to his mama, she went out there to see how he got there. It was gone. It wasn't.
I knew that it was him when we went down there, because when we was getting ready to go and walk across the bridge, I got weak. So, and the smell was, it was a terrible smell. But I mean, if he had just got there, why the smell was so loud?
And it was only one day. He was missing overnight. And he had a piece of meat on his bone. We couldn't see him. The cemetery is in the back of this house, where he buried at. Emmanuel Cemetery. Emmanuel Graveyard. That's from the church to the back there.
There you go. It gets locked.
It locked?
Yeah, the graveyard.
We should have went
locked.
around to the graveyard.
The graveyard gate locked, and you can't get to it from our yard.
Gone through the back door. It's not.
This,
I think it was third one.
it's this one because that's the flower Angelo.
This is where he's buried. I'm gonna get another flower. They don't have a headstone right now where he's buried. She been trying to get one. I don't know what holding her back. So this is where the graveyard is, where he's buried. And they come to see him at. I wish we come, but we can't see him. But it hurt a little more, that's all.
I mean, you taking out people, children that, you know, they love. I mean, you just took the loved ones of people's life. So I wonder how your family would feel, you know.
If something happened to him?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't want nothing to happen to him. I mean, whatever gonna happen to him, God gonna handle it. So, I mean, that's God's will.
So when we met with the families, the 8 families in our jurisdiction, we told them we don't normally offer any guarantees, but I told them that I could guarantee him 3 things. 1, that he would be convicted. 2, he would get the death penalty. And 3, that it'd be about 12 to 14 years before he was executed.
We had on the other side Mark Rhodes and the district attorney in Terrebonne Parish. They were professional, and they had more concern, I believe, for the welfare of the families than they did for their own personal gain or political career. That they knew that to pursue this case all the way through may end up with the family not having closure. What was going to happen for years and years to come.
He deathly feared jail. I don't doubt that for a second, which is one of the reasons why I feel like he got exactly the worst punishment that was available. That a death sentence for Mr. Dominique would have actually been, for him, probably less traumatic. And I know that sounds hard to believe, but at his age, and if his health improves, because he does have some health issues, if he spends 30 years in the general population in Angola, it's going to be a very, very tough life for him. And that's what the families wanted. I mean, they did not forego the death penalty out of compassion. I want to make that clear. These people they wanted the worst possible penalty. And in this case, they felt that life imprisonment was that. And I couldn't disagree with them. I couldn't. And I wasn't about to try to talk them out of it.
I don't type of guy, eye for an eye, but I'm a type of guy, if you do wrong, you should get punished for it. You know? That's why I wanted to give him life. I didn't want legal injection. Let's just let him sit there every day and think about all the life he done took from the people that love him, children and all. You know? I think that's just a waste of a legal injection.
A lot of people looking for them to lay there and kill him or it's not like that. I'm not looking for them to kill him. I'm looking for him to go to prison for a couple of life sentences or whatever and let him, you know, if you kill him, what good he gonna do? That's what he want. Let him feel the way we feel, you know?
So, to me, he should have got the death penalty. Mark Rose says that he talked to all the families, and we all agreed to that. No, he's lying.
We wanted the death penalty.
We wanted the death penalty. But he kept telling me, oh, it's best this way because he's going to have 9 consecutive lives, and this bull crap he kept feeding us.
The way I feel, I don't know if I feel it for all the people, but the way I feel, they should just let him go, let him suffer, let him go to prison and suffer like he killed those kids. We don't know what way they died, but for sure, Wayne didn't die straight.
Because right now they say he's in Angola. How the hell we know that if he's not in Angola? He's still sitting in his little room again, like he was in Ashland jail, watching his little TV, but nobody can touch him. How can I ever get that kind of proof? Exactly, is he really with them public? Because I think if he was, somebody would have done killed him already.
Yeah, because they have family members out there that.
I'll tell you, that was the deal was.
Some other
but they never told us. I think Dominique admitted it about all them 23 kids that he killed. But he don't want to go with the population.
Do you seek the death penalty or do you seek life imprisonment? And it's important for people to know that in Louisiana, life means life. There is no 20 years you're eligible for parole. The sentence in Louisiana for murder is life without benefit of probation, parole, or suspension. Nobody gets out when they do a life sentence.
Now that we have 8 very solid life convictions, unless you have a victim that is very adamant about going forward with the death penalty, I think you will see them rely upon the 8 life sentences we have here. If he has 8, 10, 12, or 23 life sentences, so what? It's still a life sentence. He'll never see the light of day, and he will die at an Angola State Penitentiary.
I don't know if he's a driver. He's a driver. And when we up on the force, and when you work force too, so I just drove. Why don't you turn down that street? Come on, let's go.
I was amazed. At the same time, I was handling another case in the neighboring parish of a mother who killed her 2 children and a family pet and attempted to kill herself. And both these cases were happening at the same time. The case of the mother got significantly more publicity in the state than Ronald Dominique's case did. And I never understood why.
I think that there was a sense that because it was happening so far down the bayou, that the rest of the country just wasn't really that interested in it. The really defining moment as far as national media coverage or the lack thereof for us was the first night we were a New York Times owned paper, and we call up to the New York Times thinking, we've got your story for tomorrow. And their response to us was, well, we're not actually interested in that. That's a regional story. And we didn't even understand what that meant. I mean, people in other parts of the country aren't interested in killings of this magnitude. That doesn't make sense.
For me personally, as a prosecutor, yeah, it would have been a prosecutor's dream. 23 homicides, one of the nation's top serial killers, dragged the trial would have drug on for days. The media would have been everywhere. It would have been great for everybody involved if your definition of great is, notoriety and public, being in the public eye and all those things. But nobody involved was interested in that.
I would have liked it. You know how you audience on TV when you go to court. You see, this is how I wanted to hear it. For him to get up there and explain how Larry met him you know, everything. What would, you know, even if it could have been, what would the last word? Would, you know, stuff like that. But you didn't get that. They just want to hurry up and in it. Like, you know, kill the case, shut, clean, that's it. That's what Mr. Marco Rose did. You know? He didn't, you don't think we would have wanted to hear what that man had the good to say? I think, to me, he deserved my answers, to answer my damn questions, because he pissed me off. You know? I hate that man.
All he did was keep his head down and look like he was laughing.
To me, you know, it's not a joke. This is my son. I carried that kid. I brought him up. You know? And somebody just go take him like that? And he's living it up in a corner? And all these cops are getting rewards? You know, it just pisses me off.
It was just like a big old disaster, you know. Thing was, you know, this person getting killed, you know, then you turn around, there's another one, you know. Like it was just, I thought it wouldn't go in the way it was going.
Take you to Michael Barnett and Daytrail Woods' dump sites. That's the mini storage. And Daytrail Woods was the kid. He was the youngest kid. He was found in a sugarcane field. They're right next to each other.
Turn before, after.
Just turn right there. You see that little gravel?
Hole right there.
Yeah, that's it. And then you see right where that truck is.
Church is still in business?
This is the body dump site for Daytrail Woods. He was one of the serial killer victims. He was he went reported missing on May 24th, 2003 by his family, and we found him 2 days later here with his bicycle at the edge of the cane field. After the autopsy, his cause of death was unknown. So he was added to the list of potential serial killer victims. And later, when we did our interview of Dominique, he did specifically remember Daytrail and the whole scenario of picking him up and his entire encounter with him.
And it's wasn't uncommon on a few of these scenes to be able to be standing at one murder scene and literally looking at another one in eyesight a distance away, like this one.
These buildings behind us, directly to the side, that is a set of mini storages, and actually another body was placed there. The difference between most of the sites we're visiting and that one is that he actually placed the body inside of one of the mini storages. He said he came across the mini storages. One of them was unlocked and unoccupied. It was completely vacant. He found it, opened the door, placed the body inside, and closed it. Obviously, that one was not found within a few days, so we had issues with major decomposition and identification upon finding that body. Michael Barnett, he was one of our first white male victims, and he had some previous history for being involved in drug activity and did not have a steady life that we were able to track. And with a three-week gap between the last time he was seen and the time he was found, it was pretty difficult.
this happened, did you learn that he was home? How did you feel about that?
The mere fact that the victims were street people, and so it's a segment of society we don't like to talk about anyways, and we don't like to. These were the hardest cases, you know. These were the people that it's hardest to help in life, and the fact that Dominique was gay is, I mean, that just, I'm sure that made it a harder story for people to talk about and to think about, but I don't know that any of that explains the fact that there wasn't even an initial response. Maybe the oil spill proves me wrong, or maybe the oil spill changed things, but I think it goes back to the remoteness of Houma, and I think that has to do with the very day-to-day way that life is lived down there. I don't know that my kids will get to see some of the places that I reported on down there.
I do believe that the rest of the country doesn't really comprehend what coastal erosion is and what the ramifications are. And I understand Katrina fatigue and BP fatigue. I get all of that. But when you've lived here your whole life and you're starting to see the real impact, it is a very scary prospect. Families stay here. My grandchildren will be here. I'm just not sure here will be here anymore. I don't know if it's happening anywhere else. I don't know. We don't have anybody to compare ourselves to.
It gives everything this immediacy. I just don't know how well that translates to the rest of the country. And maybe they weren't college students, but they were still members of the community, right? And they were still our people. And why do they not deserve the attention that these other cases would get around the country? And I think that there would be a real. I think it's an important question. I don't know that there's an answer, but if you find somebody, please tell me, you know?
They said that his body was decayed, so they couldn't show her. But, I mean, how would she know if that's her child? She never had, I mean, she has no clothes towards it. I mean, my little cousin, his mama, I know she greeting Dontrell Woods, my cousin Christopher, Terrell, that's my mama nephew. I mean,
yeah, that's my nephew. Read the paper and thing. I said, oh dear, I got 5 people in there killing me. 5. How they could get them all out of one family? I said, I don't understand it. And then they talk about homeless. I said, I know Wayne wasn't no homeless. I said, they need to be sued for putting that lie in the paper. Because Wayne was not homeless. He had too many aunts, uncles, and sisters and brothers and things for him to be homeless. And he wasn't no child stay in the street. He called before he get in home. He'd be at home every night. And they all was up in this area. So I don't understand it. Why did he have to pick this area? I asked myself that many times. Never got no answer.
It's just, I don't know.
It's a hurting thing.
This guy on Channel 10, False, he had a program, Do You Know Where Your Children At? And a lot of us don't. Really. Around here, they don't, you know. And I take my 2 grandchildren, bring them out in the park, and I see young girls, 7, 8 years old, still out there in the park, you know. Right now, time gonna change. And time changed, 6 o'clock, it's dark. Your child's supposed to be at home. Yeah. So, they don't worry about it. They just sit up there to me and wait till something happens.
You know how everybody they wish, you know, they can get their last words of what really happened at that last moment, but I'll never get it. So that's why I'll leave it in God's hand. I said, God's gonna protect them. And I said, if God wants me to find out everything about it, and I guess one day it might come out, one day it might, I said, oh, I don't bug me no more. At one time it used to kill me to find out. But I still would like to know, but I'll never know. That's just just the way I am. I figured I ain't never gonna know nothing. You never do anyhow.
It ain't that easy to just say, well, oh, I'm just gonna throw all this on the back burner. You know, my little brother gone. It's not that easy. Especially when it's someone that you know, play with, you know. You should just, he's missing. If he was here now, man, you just don't know, man. I miss my little brother. I wish he was here. I really do.
Following is a tape voluntary statement given by Ronald J. Dominique. It's now December 3rd, 2006. It's 2:09 a.m. A statement is being obtained by Lieutenant Don Bergeron of the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office and Lieutenant Dennis Thornton of the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office. The location of the statement is going to be the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office. And could you state your full name, please?
Ronald Joseph Dominique.
A few hours ago, you had given a statement before, is that correct?
Yeah.
And you're giving another statement right now to clear up some more things that you wish to discuss with us, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's start.
I'm going to show you a picture with the number 13 labeled on it. It's a picture of a black male named Baytrail Woods. Does this person look familiar?
Yes.
Why does he look familiar?
Because I had sex with him.
What made him get into your vehicle? What did y'all talk about? And what did you tell him?
I was going to pay him money to have sex with him.
So where did you go with him?
We went to mini stores.
What mini stores did you go to?
He ran to the mini stores in my room. I told him I wanted to take in the butt. He had to be tied because I didn't want to get hurt.
And he agreed to that?
Yes.
So did you tie him up?
Yes.
He was okay with this?
Yes, he still told that I was going to do him.
And what happened then?
He fought.
Did you have sex with him?
Yes.
Did you rape him?
Yes.
What did you do?
I raped him and I choked him and then I brought him to the church.
What church?
Going to a church.
Describe what's by the church.
A white church of Satan.
Okay, is there anything else by the church?
A pizza place.
And what else?
And many stores.
Mr. Dominique's, for lack of a better phrase, killing spree was over about a 10-year period, and his last victim was, unfortunately, 11 days before the DNA hit came in. Mr. Sutterfield was, his body was found on October the 16th, and I think the time of death was put it, relatively close by the condition of the body. So unfortunately for Mr. Sutterfield and his family, we were only 2 weeks away from apprehending him.
Now, we spoke a little bit, and I think we're going to clear this up right now, Ronald, about all the other statements you gave before. You pretty much talked about what happened. You indicated earlier that a lot of these men, or all of these men that you picked up, you brought back to a place, and they wanted you, or they were going to have sex with you. And then you basically said that it was either over being fearful that they were going to go to the police, or they were going to hurt you, or rob you, they wanted more money. And that's not totally true now, right? Don't we have to clear that up?
Yes.
And what actually did happen to some of these guys? How did you actually pick them up?
Some of them I picked up saying that I showed them a picture of a girl. Okay, and asked if they went to fool around with the girl. And the girl had got hurt, right? And had to be tied before she comes over.
They had to be tied?
Yes. Okay. But it wasn't true. It was for me.
So why did you have to use a picture?
It was the easiest way to get in there.
Could you have done it any other way?
Some of them were straight, some of them wasn't.
It didn't matter to you whether they were straight or not?
No, just mad. I just took it out and had no reason.
And what would they do then?
I said it wasn't like that. I still do rape them.
Were they all raped?
Yes.
They were all raped. And when we talk about rape, they all thought that they were gonna either have what? Either have sex with a woman or
money.
Or money. But all of them that we're talking about.
Maybe they thought they were gonna have sex with a woman and money, or me and money.
But in essence, all of them got what? What type of sex did they get?
Right.
It was against their will.
Yes.
And then what they get?
Strangled.
Were they all strangled, Ronald, pretty much in the same way?
Yes.
Did any of them, when they struggled, did they have to fight with them?
Yes.
Are you glad it stopped them?
Yes.
What would have happened had we not brought you in?
I don't know. I'm just glad it stopped. I didn't mean to do this.
Do you think it would have continued?
Maybe so. I'm just hurt. I'm sorry. I can't get it out of my mind. It went on.
These people, they're all dead now.
You know, they're not with their family. Their family suffering.
What else?
Just want everybody to forgive me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Okay. Wow. Everything you stated here is truthful to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
This statement is now ended. December 3rd, 2006. It's 2:52 a.m. End of statement.
I don't know exactly how long it was before he was arrested again. But, man, this dude a monster, man.
Get a little bit of gasoline. Welcome to another crime scene.